Good day, you're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Danie, Laurel.
And I'm Delos Santos. Here are today's top stories. The Bangko Sentral is not closing the door on further tightening after it unexpectedly raised interest rates by 75 basis points.
The vehicle sales accelerated in June. That's on the back of pent-up demand from consumers.
And traveling across Southeast Asia may soon be a lot more convenient as 5 central banks in the region are targeting to link their payment systems.
We begin our broadcast with the Bangko Sentral saying it is ready to tighten further if the need arises after it delivered its biggest rate hike ever.
BSP Governor Felipe Medalla says the hefty rate hike was warranted due to signs of broadening inflation and the weakening of the peso. In a surprise move, the Bangko Sentral raised policy rates by 75 basis points, bringing the key interest rate to 3.25%, deposit rate to 2.75%. Now, BSP Governor Felipe Medalla announced the off-cycle move just as bets on a full 1% rate hike in the United States gained pace after U.S. inflation soared to a 4-decade high in June. In the Philippines, inflation jumped to 6.1% last month, the fastest in nearly 4 years.
By taking urgent action, the Monetary Board aims to anchor inflation expectations further and temper mounting risks to the inflation outlook in particular. Policy action is intended to help manage spillovers from other countries that could potentially disanchor inflationary expectations.
Medalla says the Monetary Board will still hold their scheduled policy meeting on August 18 and they're ready to take further actions if needed. Now, is that off-cycle hike enough to choke off sizzling inflation, or should more be taken out of the toolkit to further calm the markets? Let's ask our first guest that, Security Bank Assistant Vice President and Chief Economist Robert Dan Roces. Sir Dan, good morning. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning.
Okay, now that rate hike, should we be expecting more? Is that just a front loading of the 100 beeps that the BSP has touted? Meaning, should we be expecting more action, or does that signal as well of an acknowledgement that inflation environment is higher compared to what they had originally expected?
Well, that's what happened yesterday. Was actually a shift to a forceful tone. They're trying to ram down the message, that they're getting serious about inflation control. So we're expecting the Monetary Board to deliver probably another 50 basis point hike this August, with scope for another 25 basis point hike probably around September, and then they'll hold for November and December. Inflation upsides for the remainder of the year and FX depreciated levels on the back of deeper current account deficits still warrant further policy rate support. So likely that's where the pace will be.
Okay. Sir, Dan, how soon can we feel at least the impact of these rate hikes?
Well,
especially when it comes to tempering inflation.
There's value in signaling for the rate hikes. So, but actions are actually well, like yesterday, there was a higher premium to that. So there were positive reactions as regards to one is FX, and as well as the GS market. So probably, any policy rate action takes around 6 to 8 months for it to fully permeate into the financial system. But like I said, the value is in the consistency in terms of signaling that the monetary authorities have our back in terms of trying to control inflationary tendencies.
Sir, the good gov has said that we do not need to keep in step with the Fed. But of course, this action came directly after the inflation print in the US and also other central banks. You've got, Singapore in particular earlier before the Philippines moved. To what extent is this action done to narrow the spread with the Fed, and to what extent is it, as you mentioned, domestically to arrest inflationary expectations?
Well, that's still going to depend on where the real interest rates will be. So that's inflation minus just inflation and the policy rate. So if we are probably nearer zero, no, it's not net. I think what they really mean is that by not being in lockstep with them is the differential, no, between inflation rate and the policy rate. No? So if we're nearer that, we're nearer zero, no, or slightly above positive, no, that could mean that there's scope for the central bank, at least our own central bank, to slam on the brakes a bit, no, and begin supporting policy anew, growth anew, no, after that aggressive rate hike.
Compared to other banks, central banks, you've got the Bank of Canada raising 100 bips, and then you've got Singapore, Chile, New Zealand, others as well. Are we actually aggressive compared to the rate hike cycles that we were seeing globally?
Well, compared to them, those countries you mentioned, they're mostly developed economies already. So the move there, or the effects of the moves there might be different or misconstrued differently from, let's say, emerging economies like the Philippines. No? So I think relative to that, no, we're getting there. No? We may not be as aggressive yet. No, but like I said, if we do 50 bips on August, that's already aggressive, or a more aggressive move by our own central bank. No? So that will still likely to continue to weigh on the markets in the near term, no? Until such time that consistency in terms of aggressiveness is conveyed by the monetary authorities.
Given all that, Sir Dan, what do you think now is our trajectory inflation-wise? Again, also you have the BSP urging non-monetary actions. What needs to be done to at least address all the supply-side issues? And do we have enough in our arsenal to actually, especially when it comes to fiscally, do we have enough to actually spend to address all these non-monetary actions?
Well, the economy can afford such a move, no, with a strong rebound in growth expected to continue for the year. No? And then we have, of course, OFW remittance levels. The flows by the fourth quarter will likely offset any possible drag that could emerge from this aggressive move. No? So I think the key is the exchange rate, no? Because we are a net importer of a lot of stuff that we consume. So timing for inflation is good. Commodity prices are down at the moment. No, oil prices fell yet again yesterday because the markets are worrying that aggressive interest rate hikes from the developed economies will spur an economic downturn. No? So that further will likely further curb oil demand. No? So commodities, which have been the main cause of inflationary pressures, not only here but also abroad, are down. No? So the timing is actually good, no? When they did that yesterday. So, like I said, the exchange rate will be the key. But so far, now what we're seeing, the exchange rate still remains to be reactive on the US dollar strength. No? So, probably after the Fed rate hike next week, no, or after FOMC meeting next week, no, we will be able to gauge better where or how the peso reacts to the US dollar strength versus our more aggressive stance, no, towards controlling inflation. No? So inflation in the near term will likely remain elevated. It's already sticky. No? So it might take some time to go down, but we're positive that by next year, inflation will fall within the target already. No? So that move being made by the central bank is a proactive move, no, to further arrest inflationary tendencies until next year.
Sir, last question before we let you go. No, Finance Secretary Tioco says we can absorb this, or growth can absorb this, and you echo this sentiment. What exactly do you mean by that? Despite the fact that globally nga they're bracing for a recession if rate hikes continue to go up.
Well, there's still some positive sentiment in terms of the consumer side. No? Household consumption is 75% of the GDP. So all the GDP projections being made for the Philippines right now have been downgraded, but still it's better than the levels from 2021. No? So even if we, for example, downgraded to 6.5% from the 7% initial no, that's still phenomenal growth, no, in my opinion. So, having said that, no, inflation will likely dampen consumption a bit, no? But it's not going to essentially derail how we consume stuff. No, I mean, right now, no, despite higher prices, we're seeing a lot of very, very good footprint in the malls. No? Restaurants still packed, not to mention traffic already back to pre-pandemic levels. So I think when we say that the economy is able to do that, there's still this view that business as usual will prevail, no? As long as the monetary authorities are able to
preemptive.
control inflation.
All right, great insights there, and hopefully you will be right. So hopefully we can
Hopefully.
withstand the inflation and that gets arrested because of the action by the Bangko Sentral. Thank you so much, Security Bank AVP and Chief Economist Dan Roces.
Now, coming right up, are you operating a small business? We'll tell you how your venture can become a star SME when Businessworld Live returns.
Okay, don't go away. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Business World Live here on One News. I'm Delos Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel.
Now, what does it take for your business idea to fly, especially in the economic environment that we have now? But would-be startups or small businesses might just get a much-needed helping hand. This as the Philstar Media Group rolls out its latest campaign, the Nakakalokal, Love Local, Grow Global. To find out more as to how the program can help out SMEs, we have on the show Lucien Tioco, Philstar Media Group Executive Vice President. Sir Lucien, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning, Justin and Danie.
All right, sir. First, give us an idea. What exactly is this campaign and what will it do to at least help our small businesses?
Okay. The campaign actually focuses on SMEs and MSMEs, and Nakakalokal has two objectives. First is to promote the Filipino-made products and convince consumers to patronize Filipino-made, anything Filipino-made. And second is by doing this, having this advocacy, this will encourage SMEs to create more and encourage them to be more innovative and be creative in their products and services. So Nakakalokal is an advocacy program that's designed for a year that will support 36 SMEs coming from the Philstar group. So what we noticed, there have been a lot of associations that have been helping SMEs, especially DTI and other groups, like Go Negosyo. But no one from media has actually given the focus on SMEs to really help them, and we'd like to step in by offering our services, our platforms to the SMEs to help promote their services and help them tell their story.
Well, we're also not in the most encouraging of economic environments, of course, when it comes to even investing in businesses or whatnot. But at the same time, how will the program encourage more Filipinos to actually be more innovative when it comes to their business idea, to start their own initiative as well, amid, of course, the economic downturn?
Yeah. Well, our objective is simple. It's really help promote our the SMEs, tell their stories, help promote their products, and really showcase their ingenuity in especially during this time of during the pandemic, where a lot of SMEs really thrive during this time, and a lot of creativity happened during that the crisis happened. That even in such adversities, SMEs were able to thrive during that time. And at this point, we'd like to somehow take them to the next level now that the economy is a bit opening up. Especially now that, as Dan Roces said earlier, that consumer spending is still high at this point, even if there are roadblocks happening in coming months. It's basically because consumers right now, at this very time, is very excited that everyone is going out. It's their first time to spend freely, and somehow the behaviors have changed coming from the pandemic. And we'd like to assist the SMEs in trying to navigate this, how to progress their businesses into the now normal.
Sir, who qualifies for this? How do you select an MSME? Is there, number of employees, amount of capital? You don't go through to a threshold. And how can you determine that it's really local and that they're really helping the community, sir? And services ba? Pwede din ba yun? Or anything under the sun can qualify as a local aid to the economy?
Well, to narrow down, first of all, we are supporting 36 SMEs, primarily because it's the Philippine Star's 36th anniversary. So,
okay.
That many that we're supporting.
Okay.
And we're providing them with $500,000 worth of media mileages and advertising exposure. And for the SME to qualify, it has to have the following requirements. Number one is it should be high quality, and it should stand the test of time. Products and services should promote Filipino pride, support sustainability. It's ethically and socially responsible, and it should be a registered business.
Okay.
Those are the requirements. It's not really very restrictive or.
All right. And what do you think, sir, of the market right now, especially during pandemic? Are people more supportive of local goods? Do you see that? Or is there still a need to be pushing? Of course, the competition is very tight. You have e-commerce platforms. How can you ensure that these SMEs become successful and scale up?
Yeah. Right now, I would say consumer spending and appreciation of local products is very encouraging. They're very appreciative. But right, of course, there's a lot of competition happening, and it's very tight. In the marketplace, especially online, there's really a slew, and it's all very democratized. So any product, any business can actually sell online. And which makes it very difficult for an SME or startup to really scale up their business. And for us to be able to help them, it's really trying to promote on our platforms in our various platforms, in the Star, the Businessworld, Filipino Star, and the Freeman in Cebu. And it's giving them that added push where we could help them tell their story, share their business model. And in this program, we also have a lot of supporters and partners. We have the SMs, the Robinsons, the all the malls, or Ortigas malls is there. We have Toyota. We have other partners, RCBCs, that also there. So what an SME is entitled to here is really an ecosystem of helping push their business. And it's a year program where we also have a lot in store for them. Aside from the advertising exposure that we're giving them, we have lined up a series of events that will run through May up to next year.
Okay, so exciting times and looking forward to those products from Nakakalokal. That is, of course, Lucien D. Tioco, EVP of Philstar Media Group. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Vehicle sales accelerated by 25% in June. That's amid the increased demand for commercial vehicles. A joint report from the CAMPI and TMA showed total vehicle sales reached 28,601 units in June from the over 22,500 units sold in the same month last year. Commercial vehicle sales surged by more than 39%. This was majorly driven by a rise in sales of Asian utility vehicles. Passenger vehicle sales, however, remained sluggish, inching up by only 1%. CAMPI says the automotive industry recovery in June is driven by pent-up demand from consumers amid the less than ideal economic conditions recorded last year. Their recent report showed that Toyota Motors Philippines had the highest market share from January to June. Mitsubishi, Nissan, Suzuki, and Ford rounded up the top 5 vehicle brands. The government clarifies the proposed right-sizing plan does not mean government workers will immediately be sacked. This was confirmed by both the Budget and Labor departments. Labor Secretary Benny Laguesma explained government employees could still be transferred to other agencies. Laguesma added they could even hire more people if needed. He said that the right-sizing plan also involves implementing adjustments to the benefits received by government workers.
Sa mga maapektuhan, maliwanag naman na merong sinasabing pagbibigay ng tamang benepisyo, pagre-relocate sa kanila dun sa mga existing na vacancies, hindi man siguro sa particular na departamento, pero sa ibang mga departamento na pwedeng ang kanilang kakayahan ay tumutugma. Yan yung mga aspects ng right sizing. Ang bottom line mo talaga, gusto mong gawin ng departamento o ang bureaucracia as a whole na talagang nakaka-deliver ng services at siya ay talagang dapat pagkatiwalaan ng pondo ng bayan.
Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte also said that it will take some time before the national government can fully implement its right-sizing plan. For now, VP Sara said it's better to wait for the release of policies and guidelines on right-sizing.
I don't see it happening in the short term dahil mahirap po mag-right size ng buong government. But I think it's a good direction sa ating Pangulo para po nare-review natin kung lahat ba ng mga empleyado at lahat ng mga posisyon ay useful siya.
Now, how would you like to have the convenience of just scanning QR codes to buy goods while traveling across Southeast Asia? Well, this could be a possibility soon. Bloomberg reports that Southeast Asian central banks, including the Philippines, are targeting to link their payment systems within the year to let people buy goods and services by scanning QR codes. Though linkages aren't complete yet, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand are already connected, while Singapore is linked to Thailand and is seeking to add more countries. The governor of Bank of Indonesia said that by November, 5 of the Southeast Asia's biggest economies, including the Philippines, are set to sign a deal to integrate their network. And those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel. We are One News, all sides, all the time. Don't go away. We'll give you the latest on the local bourse when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
All right, Dan, the possibility has always been there, but safe to say that rate hike was indeed a surprise, sinking property stocks yesterday and propping up the peso. How are things looking like now?
All right, Jess, still quite some pain. We're now at 6,100 levels here, Jess. Medyo masakit, down 2.5%. And like you said, it was the property players. Take a look at them and how they performed in the past 5 days, down by 3 6/10% already. But you've got Tina Ulang of FMIC saying that the index may actually rise to 7,100 by the year end. So, you know, there might be some opportunities here for bargain hunting and coming back in. She mentioned that when the index went down by, you know, between 62%, 49% during the times of inflation in 1997, 2008, the index rebounded by as much as 92%. So if you believe in that story, it might be still attractive for us. Let's take a look at the peso here, Jess. It did not break the 56 level downwards, even as, you know, they were looking at that level. In fact, it has actually weakened a touch from the propping up that we saw trading at 56.32 to the greenback, Jess.
All right, lots of things happening as we end the week. Let's hope things will be better, at least come next week. And that's it for today, July 15, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel. Mask on, wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.